Dancomech Holdings Berhad is incorporated in Malaysia under the Act on 17 June 2013 as a public limited company. Dancomech primarily involved in trading and distribution of process control equipment and measurement instruments. Their focus area is mainly in the palm oil and oleochemicals, oil and gas, petrochemical and water treatment, and sewerage industries. Their products are including actuator, ball valve, blow-down valve, and butterfly valve.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nur Hafiza binti Muhammad from class D2B8 2494B. Now I will continue to present regarding the strength of the company. The first of the company's strength is the wide range of products produced by Dancomech available in the market. Second of all, Dancomech company has a good reputation, which leads to increasing of customer loyalty. Lastly, the company able to expand the business into the marketplace. This can be proven as Dancomech company has tremendous financial performance and revenue that have occurred in 5 years. Hence, it will be able to generate a substantial profit and successfully grow its operations in the market.
I am Nurbaiti Najah binti Rosdi, and I'm going to share the weakness of Dancomech Holding. First, about the supplier. Dancomech Holding Berhad depends on third parties to supply their materials. The termination withdrawal from the suppliers really impacted them and can give negative impact toward their business operation and financial performance. Dancomech Holding Berhad need to maintain a very good relationship towards their suppliers so that their company can smoothly operate their business. Other than that, they should consider finding other supplier that can give them supply of product without affecting their relationship with the existing supplier. The second weaknesses of Dancomech Holding Berhad is a very limited human resources. Dancomech Holding Berhad had 45 employees under them. With this limited amount of staff, they need to hire more people in order for them to manage higher demand in the future. The current employees should receive necessary training in order to cope with the available tasks. A lot of effort and time needed in order to make sure that the company can compete with other companies that are bigger and longer in the market. The technology used also need to stay updated so employees with current skill will help the company to operate smoothly.
The opportunity of this company are: first, better consumer reach. The expansion of the 5G network will assist Dancomech in expanding its market reach. Dancomech will be able to connect with new customers. Second, learning at scale. Dancomech can now conduct training and development for its employees all over the world thanks to advances in online learning technologies. This will not only reduce training costs but will also assist employees from all around the world in integrating with the headquarters work culture and standards. Third, using analytics as competitive advantage. Dancomech has spent a significant amount of money and effort integrating analytics and machine learning into its operation. Dancomech has been able to build a competitive advantage through continuous investment in analytics.
Next, strengths of Dancomech Holding Berhad. The competitors. Dancomech Holding Berhad need to compete with other companies that produce the same product as them. There are too many companies that produce the same product as Dancomech Holding Berhad, and this is one of the challenges that Dancomech Holding Berhad need to face in their business. Dancomech Holding Berhad are specialized in producing valves, gauge, recorders, and pumps, as Malaysia has many companies that produce valves such as New Flow Corporation Sdn Berhad, Vox Control Valve Sdn Berhad, Unimesh Engineering Sdn Berhad, and many more. Other companies also have good reputation in satisfy the consumer demand, so Dancomech Holding Berhad need to maintain and improve their product quality to attract and tackle the consumer interest so that the consumer will use the product that Dancomech Holding Berhad produce. Second threats of Dancomech Holding Berhad is fund. Dancomech Holding Berhad have 20 years of experience in the industries. The company managed to meet the demand of some major end user, contractors, and OEM, particularly within the oil and gas, petrochemical, palm oil, water, and general industry. The company leverage analysis show that the company has lower dependency on debt, but has been increased in 2020. Dancomech Holding Berhad should find way to attract investors to invest in their product. The initiative that had been taken is the company produced a new product, which is dry vacuum pump to attract new investor or new consumer. The third threat of Dancomech Holding Berhad is losing employees. As Malaysia affected by the COVID-19, the market had been slowed down as many industries need to shut down their operation, making the company demand decrease. The 2-year pandemic has impacted the company, but they managed to stabilize their company. A lot of employees need to end their contract as the company cannot operate. This has affected the operation of the company, so the company strictly observe the rules and regulation and follow the standard operating procedure that have been set by the government of Malaysia.
The report that we prepare indicate the performance of Dancomech Holdings Berhad. The purpose of this report are: first, evaluate the performance of Dancomech Holdings Berhad. The main aim for this report is to know how well the performance of Dancomech Holdings Berhad in the span of 5 years starting from 2016 until 2020. This includes that to know how the company can sustain in the market, how much dependency on leverage, to measure the ability of the company to meet the short-term liabilities, to know the company efficiency in generating sales and cash, and so on.
First and foremost, we will look at the liquidity ratio, which is firstly current ratio. For overall current ratio in Dancomech Holdings Berhad, it shows that the most liquidity year is in 2016. This shows on how good this company survives in order to meet its short-term obligations in the year. But the liquidity of Dancomech decreasing from 2016 to 2018 and slightly increased in 2019. Next, for the quick ratios, every company want their ratio to be high in order to get better performance in paying their short-term obligation without relying on their inventory. For Dancomech, the higher ratio is in the year 2016. This indicates this company able to pay their short-term creditors compared to the other years. 2020 is the year that Dancomech is not be able much to pay its short-term obligations and relying too much on their inventory. Last one on liquidity ratio is net working capital. The most liquid is in the year 2020 because it is higher compared to the year 2016 until 2019. In 2020, Dancomech able to meet its short-term obligations as it comes to the due date. Now, we will look at the activity ratio. Firstly, for inventory turnover, the most effective year for Dancomech handling its asset is in 2020 compared to the other year. It shows that the company able to manage their assets well in 2020 rather than in the year 2017. Next, for average collection period, Dancomech performs well in the year of 2019 compared to the other years. It is because the length of the debt in this year is shorter than the other year. This will make the cash cycle become lower and there will be more cash available in the company to meet its cash requirements. The average collection period for the year 2019 is only 18.59 days. For fixed asset turnover, Dancomech higher ratio is in 2020, which make this company can generate more revenues in investment for fixed asset. The ratio for the year 2020 is 4.13 times compared to the other years that have ratio in the range of 2 times. Lastly, for total asset turnover, the year that gives better performance is in 2020. It is because the ratio in this year is higher compared to the other years. When the ratio is higher, this shows that Dancomech has the high assets utilization. I think that's all from me. Now, let's move to the next presenter.
Leverage ratio. There are 3 leverage ratios that I will show to you, which are: first, debt ratio. Debt ratio is total liabilities divided by total assets. The debt ratio shown in the graph has been slightly increased from year to year in 2016 until 2018. In 2019, the debt ratio decreases from 11.66% to 8.88%, but then it has been increased again to 23.42%, which is the highest in any 4 years. Lower debt ratios indicate lower financial risk. The best debt ratio is in the year of 2019, which is 8.88%. Second, debt equity ratio. Debt equity ratio is total liabilities divided by shareholders' equity. The debt equity ratio has been slightly decreased in the span of 4 years from 2016 until 2019. In 2020, the debt ratio increases to 7.10%, that make that year the highest percentage of debt equity ratio. A high ratio indicates that business owners may not be providing sufficient equity to fund a business. Third, time interest earned. Time interest earned is earning before interest and tax divided by interest. The time interest earned for Dancomech Holdings Berhad shows the best result in year 2016, which is 3,147.86, compared to 2017 until 2020, which has the lowest result, where it only shows 130.25 times. The lowest ratio of Dancomech Holdings Berhad in 2020 indicates lower capability and high risk of defaults.
Profitability is a measurement that the company uses of its asset and control of its expenses in order to generate an acceptable rate of return. For gross profit margin, year 2016 is the highest compared to 2017, 18, 19 and 2020, which is 40.84%. Second of ratio is the operating profit margin. Within 5 years, the company makes good profit in 2016 with 29.35%. However, it started to decrease in 2017 with the amount of 23.45% and in 2020. For the net profit margin of the company in year 2016, it has the highest percentage of ratio with 21.72% compared to year 2020, which is the lowest in 5 years. For returns on total assets of the company, the year performed well is 2016, which is the highest. It has 11.55% of return on total assets compared to year 2020. In year 2018, the company has achieved the highest percentage of return on equity with the amount on 12.89%. However, in year 2017 and 2020, it has the lowest percentage.
Market ratio evaluates whether the company shares are overpriced or underpriced. Using the formula earning per share, EPS equal net earning over total share outstanding. The earning per share indicates how much money the company makes for each share of its stock, and it is using the estimating corporate value. From the chart, we can see that Dancomech Holdings Berhad earning per share ratio in 2016 is at 0.05% and the earning per share ratio decreased by 0.01 in 2017. Earning per share for Dancomech Holdings Berhad remain at 0.05% for the next 3 years, which in 2018, 19 and 2020. Lower ratio means the company is not profitable and the company has less profit to distribute to its shareholder.
As for the final conclusion, we clearly can see that the company shows an excellent performance in year 2016. The company's revenue has always increased from year to year throughout 2016 until 2020. However, to survive in the industry, it doesn't only depend on revenue, but it also depends on each ratio analyzed, including liquidity, leverage, profitability, and market ratio. With the results shown, it becomes as a reason for the company use ratio technique to improvise the performance and identify the deficiency of the company.